Hello and welcome back to the Mindtrack.net Games server. I'm currently working on the beginning process of the Sovereign, or the USS Enterprise E. What I've done is I've taken what M. Heller started and I'm in the process of updating it, reworking it slightly, and trying to formulate a decent looking deck plan starter process for her. I've been working on her now going on 12 hours. I'm pretty beat, and I figured I'd get a quick video in to show kind of what's going on here. We do have deck plans for the Sovereign class, strategic design plans, but they're incomplete plans. I used them to set up the Sovereign, and when I did so, we found that they were sorely lacking a lot of areas. So they will work as a guide, sort of. But overall, the entire internal design of the ship's going to be pretty much custom made. I'm going with, I can see where M was doing stuff based off of the SD plan, so I'm just following with what he's been doing, making sure that the areas that he set aside remain set aside and are being used the way he kind of set the tone for. I'm also establishing reworking the turbo lifts. This will be a dual channel lift. That means there'll be a lift on this side and a lift on this side, and this will be like a main powered thing. It seemed like a neat place to put this, so I put it there, and I'll probably have another one running here, kind of like hot rails and stuff like that. Anyways, this lift will come back here, and then it'll of course junction over and meet again, and then it'll spin around here on both sides and go down through the hangar bay here, which is actually down here because I don't have it highlighted up there. Anyways, when you see this in the hangar bay, it'll probably have something like this wrapped around it, kind of like a catwalk, kind of what I have done on the Sovereign build already. And again, the Sovereign build I worked on is about, I'd say, 70% the size of this ship at best. So this is a significantly larger ship than the one I did, and I built that complete from the ground up, including the hull. This one we're actually working with a 3D hull. And speaking of which, I can't really do much with this ship until we have all of the escape pod hatches in place. I want to avoid the skewing of hatches as it goes around the hull. You know, like you see it like this, and then it's like this, and you know, then it kind of does this, and you know, because that's what it looks like on the Enterprise D. And you look at the Enterprise D, and from a distance it looks good, but the closer you get to it, you're like, what the? That don't make no sense, I say. Anyways, I want to avoid that. If you look at all my builds, you see that all the escape pods are pretty much square or linear or whatever you want to call it, uniform all the way across the hull. Granted, you know, square blocks, round holes. This is the physics of Minecraft, and this is what we have to work in. If we try to emulate 100% like what you see up here, it's going to look like that. It's going to look like crap. It's just going to look all distorted and everything else. Good way of pointing out is the call line, the NCC here. These are done by the ones that you see on the ships. They're done by I believe DeBomb does them. Now right here, this looks really good. It makes good sense to do it that way. But when you get out here to these escape pods, as you can see, they're all haphazardly shaped and kind of not uniform at all. When you go to put the escape pods in them, the escape pods have to match the hatches or they're not going to jettison, obviously. And when you start skewing your escape pods, yeah, they don't, it just looks like crap. Take my word for it. It looks like utter crap. So that's why I started with the Renegade and so on and so forth. Started using uniform escape pod hatches. It just, you know, it's one of those things. You got to make compromises, and that's one of the. I did it with the Voyager, and it looks great on the Voyager. I've done it with the. We did it with the Defiant. It looks fine on the Defiant. I've done it with all the other Enterprises. They look fine. So that'll be the game plan with this one. That's my working plan, anyways. That could change because, you know, ultimately it's you know, it's a team effort, so whatever the team decides to go with is what we do go with. But anywho, I've been going through here and I've been reworking these levels, or decks, whatever you want to call them. This was all done by M. Heller, and the only thing I did up here is I slightly bent this in a little bit so that we get this the uniform pattern through here. That meant just slightly changing this contour slightly, and I went ahead and did this up a little bit, and I've been working on these gangways. Gangways are, you know, they're a little tricky. You have to kind of horseshoe them in. I like to plan for them like M did here. He kind of planned for them, so it makes it a lot easier. But you know, the corridors have a way of, you know, nerfing things up, so we have to work within the confines of the ship itself, and sometimes they get routed a little oddly. You know, sometimes they're 3 wide through here, sometimes they're 2 wide. It's pretty much however. I mean, this could be 2 wide. Right now I have it set for 3 wide. I'll switch it back here to 2 wide real quick, and I'll show you what I mean by. I think it's this one M has set up for it. You know, we could leave it 2 wide like this. The rest of them are 1 wide, 1 door wide, so we could actually do it this way. This would be that, and you just come in here like so. It's just, you know, it is what it is. It could be 3 wide, it could be 2 wide, whatever we really feel like making it and stuff. In this case, I think 3 wide would work well here. 2 wide would work well in the upper decks and so on and so forth. Like up here, 2 wide would work just fine. Again, I could widen it out to 3 wide if we really wanted to, but it's only 2 wide through here, so I might as well just keep it uniform. I could keep it uniform down here as well, but yeah, you know, meh. What else have we got going on here? Anyways, like I said, I've been reworking this. It's kind of difficult. It's a lot larger, so I got to think in a lot broader terms. I got to make sure that the turbo lifts are all, you know, kind of they're where I need them to be. I've had to move them from the design that M started with a few months back, and all I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that they go where I need them to go. They do what I need them to do. And in this case here, this one will be the port side feeder, and it'll come here. I don't know if it'll go up or down. It should go up. I'll check that because I know I've been working on the deck above us. Anyways, this will feed down, and then it'll go on further over, and eventually it'll go all the way around the hull. As far as Jeffries tubes go, Jeffries tubes will follow the contour of the phaser strips. So the Jeffries tubes and any other area can horseshoe fit them in, but this is a really good place for Jeffries tubes to go, right along the side of the phaser strip here. So we'll have the phaser systems, and then there'll be a Jeffries tube adjacent to them going along the whole thing here. And this is really nice because then all I have to do is at some point link it to a Jeffries tube that's going inbound to the center of the ship, either from the sides or from the front. And once it reaches this area here, we can easily, you know, kind of have it bend around somewhere around these, probably down here or lower, along one of the larger decks here where the phaser strips are. Anyways, it'll come around, and then it'll come into this area here that M has been working on, which is, we can see it a lot better from up here. Anyways, it'll come into here, then it'll go along the longest part of the secondary hull and the primary hull where they meet, and that'll be a Jeffries tube, yeah, right down the center. And then of course it'll feed down the engineering and everything else. Try to keep it as simple and as you know, original as possible. With a lot of this stuff, you know, when I'm thinking of Jeffries tubes and stuff like that, I usually have them like running right off the side here and down, and I can do that here. I probably will on a lower deck, but for these upper decks right here, it's not really needed. Again, you know, this kind of gets in the way of what I wanted to do. I could easily run another Jeffries tube right through here, right along this area here. But I'm not really certain with what M wants to do with the Jeffries tubes or how he has them set up. I think there might be one marked down there someplace as a demo. If it is, I'll look at it, and if I can, I might even actually run it down through here above the turbo lift, or I could, because this is the hangar decks right here, as this part of the ship, and then again there'll be another long one going down through here. So, and then these would all meet. I've been kind of going over the Sovereign plans, and like I said, using them as a kind of a guide, but I'm finding that they're actually pretty useless for this build. So, what else we got going on here? I don't know what this is. That's something I was working on. Wherever there's two high blocks like this, I've been trying to utilize it for like cargo space and like turbo lifting and stuff like that. I got a area set aside here for cargo bay right here. And of course with cargo base we want to try and see if we can get a feeder system in. So like with this one, because it's not actually married to the ship, it's pulled away, have like a lift that comes down here, then be like a corridor, like a cargo corridor or something like that. It might run along the back of the ship to this cargo thing that M has right there. Those things right there. And or even further down, M1, we could easily adopt a Voyager-esque style cargo deck where the entire deck is nothing but a big, huge cargo bay. That's something I've talked to M about. Again, I'm only working on the area that he's actually worked on here, and haven't gone any further, and I don't plan on it until I have a chance to chat with him. I'm trying to keep these corridors on the ship all kind of lined together, because you see that on those cutaways, those really high quality cutaways, when they cut them away, you see that all these corridors kind of match and everything else. This is like this. I don't know if I'm going to change this or not. Again, this was already redone, but if you can see here, I kind of laid that out. I'd like to follow this pattern, but this whole section of the ship's completely different. So this pattern right here is actually not going to be used for anything up here anyways. I mean, I really could. I mean, there's plenty of room for me to utilize it. I might even try and tweak it in, because it does come back to this corridor here, which kind of lines up really nice. Get rid of this straight shot, quirky little bend thing here. I don't know. I have it sitting there because I wanted to look at it, and I actually have this pattern on the deck below, which would be nice to have it on this deck up here as well. That means there'd be a little bit more room in here for these crew quarters or whatever these are, and then but it'd come forward, so this area here that's whatever it is would be slightly smaller as it comes forward, because it gets wider out through there and things like that. On the deck below here, let's go out here to this outer edge. I just got done setting up these crew quarters. This is another one of those things. On the Sovereign, they kind of angle, and you got these like, they go like this kind of crew quarters. Excuse me. And again, you can't really do these on and make them look good. The more curvature you get, the more these distort. And I found while working on the Probert Enterprise, and later with the Enterprise, the Ambassador, it's just so much easier to do them this way, linear, where they're straight, and then when you have to make a diagonal, you make a diagonal, and then you go back to going straight again. It just makes it so much easier for making everything uniform. And the beautiful thing about it is this system really lends itself well to setting up windows. I gotta say, it makes it so much easier to put windows in ships, because right where to put them. And since everything's uniform, this is this right here is obviously a living quarter, so it'd be 2 windows, and this one's the same as that one, 2 windows, and bedroom, 1 window, bedroom, 1 window, living quarter, crew quarter, living area, 2 windows, 2 windows, 1 window, all the way down along the ship. And then all of a sudden all your windows are uniform. You don't have any of those windows that go like this, or like that, which we have on the Enterprise E or Enterprise D, and I hate them. You know, because we gotta make it look just like the show. You can't. It's square blocks. Crying out loud. If you want to do that, you know, go get Space Empire or Space Engineer or whatever it is, and try building a that thing. Talk about memory leaks. Oh my God, that thing's almost impossible to use. That's why it's on sale on Steam for like $6. They'll never finish it, so they figure, oh, what the hell? I'll just put it up for sale. Some dope will buy it. Again, the reason I can't actually use this is because I have to come 3 in. You know what? I might be able to do that. This will just be extremely narrow up through here. I don't know if that's actually used for anything or not. I'm sure it is. I recall there being windows there. So this could actually just, you know, it could stop it, say right here. You know, and then this would be like a lounge area or something. I don't know. I'll route it and see what it looks like, and if I like it, I'll go ahead and use it. Then I'll just change this deck up here again and start over up here and see if I could work it in. If not, I'm not going to worry about it. Like, this is just all prelim stuff. None of this will, you know, this could all get changed. That's why I'm working on this and not that. I really want to work on that, but there's no point to be on that until those hatches are in the right places and done up the way they need to be done up for the final build. Otherwise, it's pointless. So, you know, the big stuff has to be in place. Otherwise, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. If you go and you set all your decks up, and all of a sudden, oh, there's supposed to be like 300 escape pods through here, and you got crew quarters all through there, you're screwed. You know, go back to scratch. And I don't like doing that. So I like to plan ahead. And that's what I'm doing here, is I'm planning ahead by planning out my corridor pathing and reworking a lot of it. This was actually all filled in. If you go downstairs, you can look. I went ahead and pulled it all out so that I could rework the pathing. And that's what I'm doing here. I like the uniform, you know, look of the way things are done on the Voyager, for example. And you just get this really nice, well, I like how this came out. It's just, you just feel like you're walking around a ship that is, you know, kind of angular in design. And this is still a work in progress. You know, and then it comes out through here, and then it kind of jigs and jags and comes back down, and these will actually be doorways. I could just go ahead and, well, I'm going to keep the door there, because this one's one in, this was one in, so door, wall, door, wall, that kind of a thing. All uniform. But yeah, it just, you see that nice curvature it follows along through there. That's what you want. You don't, I mean, earlier I was looking at it using the map in the upper right hand corner up there, and it didn't look good. It looked out of place, and that's why I came in and started reworking it. I don't know how far I'll get. You know, like I said, I'd like to get a lot of this stuff through here done, reworked, and looking good, and then focus on you know, finalizing some of these decks and, you know, getting a pattern in place that we can use for the rest of the ship. This is all stuff that M put in. I mean, I did this after I went through and widened the corridor. So this I think I'll probably go ahead and keep, because it kind of follows this pattern up here slightly. I might actually do a sand drop and yeah, you know, I'll show you what I mean by a sand drop. See this pattern up here? The ship already has the contour. So you want to kind of follow it. It looks like I already did this, so you want to kind of follow this pattern, because this pattern can be replicated on all the decks below it. And if this looks good, then all the decks below it are going to look good. And I haven't been down there, so I don't know. Yeah, see, I haven't even really started working on this. But anyways, this deck will get dropped down here to this deck, and then when I go out here on this, I think this is the phaser strip, I won't have to go that far out, you know, because these will be quarters, and then we'll have the Jeffries tube, and then we'll have the phaser strip stuff, and then this will all be, you know, support stuff like, you know, reinforcements and things like that. So, But yeah, you kind of get the idea how it's done. So now I got to remember where the hell I was at because I poked a hole in the floor. So I'll just go out here and go back in and look. And it was over here somewhere. But yeah, I want these turbo lifts and all that stuff to be properly placed and aligned so I don't have to worry about them. Here we go. This is where we're at. What I'll do is I'll copy this pattern once this is laid out, and since these decks are really close together, it wouldn't be too much of a jump just to copy this and drop it down, you know, and then go through there and tweak the interior spaces. This, like I said, this was done by M, and it looks really good, so I don't see a need to change it, you know, to be honest with you. Phaser strip again. This is the aft phaser strip, one of the aft phaser strips. So what I'm thinking is, because this is where a main corridor comes through here, and I might put the Jeffries tube on this side of the phaser strip on this one. So, I hate too high Jeffries tubes because you can't, you see the hole right above your head, and we can't really do anything about that. Can't put a half slab out there because then it'll block you from walking. So, but you know, when in Rome, this is what you have to work with. This is what you have to work with. So if I put a Jeffries tube here, go, excuse me again, I yawned again, we'll go right through here. And I'd like to have all my Jeffries tubes connecting at one point, and I actually may not be able to put a Jeffries tube in here. Oh, bummer. Well, if I'm not able to, I'm not able to. You know, you win some, you lose some. These are rather large quarters. I mean, you'd really, I don't think, you know, I don't know how many people on a starship warrant such space, but you know, if it says it's that big, it's that big. If my mic pops and cracks out, I do apologize for that. I'm using my Corsair microphone, and they're not real friendly. Not real friendly at all when it comes to recording. When you stop talking, it stops abruptly. And then when it starts recording again, it of course starts recording abruptly. So you end up with a pop. And so I have to keep talking in order to avoid that. I don't like this little bend thing here, but if you look at the map, I'll just get my little red arrow guy out of there. It actually, it actually looks okay. Don't mind this. I'm actually thinking this might be a Jeffries tube. So that's why I'm kind of marking it out here, because this right here is part of the forward tube system, Jeffries tube access stuff. You know, it was just a good use of space. So, because these are all quarters, and I couldn't really use this. You know, I needed a Jeffries tube, so I just figured to put it in right here, and it looks really nice because it goes along down here, and it works well with this turbo lift shaft. And that means I can run an ODN conduit, you know, through this, and you know, then down there we could have code ODN conduits like in these rooms here, like this one. This can be an ODN conduit room now, and things like that. So just thinking ahead, trying to think of cool things to do and places to put stuff, and best way to use space. And then of course this Jeffries tube could come all the way up here, and then it'd meet right here, and you know, go down this right here, you know, into the lower decks, and then forward again, and so on and so forth. You know, it's just the fun kind of stuff that you find and you work with, and you go back through, and it's like, yeah, I really like how that looks. And the Voyage is a really good example of that. I mean, good God, you look at all the videos that we've done on the Voyager, and you can see the evolution of that ship. And the Sovereign is much, much larger, and will take 3 times, 4 times as long to complete as the Voyager. Now, I decked the entire Voyager out in less than a week, start to finish. All the decks are laid out, start to finish, in about a week. With the Sovereign, I think it's going to take me a couple of months, easily a couple of months, because whatever I do has to be approved by M. Heller and by everybody else. Will be, well, mainly M. Heller, because he's the only other guy that's going to be working on it. So, you know, it has to, everything's got to be, you know, I set it up. He's got to go through, say, yeah, I like this, I don't like this, we need to move this, we need to fix this, with this I need space for this, this should be 2 decks tall, this should be 1 deck tall, this is a bad place for this is a great place for this, you know, things like that. Because he is the go-to tech guy, and he knows a lot more about how these things are supposed to function than I do. I'm really good at laying out the deck patterns, the floor and design and all that stuff, but when it comes to the tech end stuff, where things go and why they go there, that is strictly M. Heller, and I defer to him. So if I lay something out like this corridor and then M says, no, I need something else here, I got to come back through and I got to figure out how to move that corridor and all that other stuff. That's my lot in life, and that's why I try to think about putting stuff like this in, you know. That way we know it's here, and it's really neat because it'll go back there and it can run down the turbo lift shaft or whatever else we have down there, and then it can come up here and then it can marriage up to this system and then go out forward or to the sides or whatever. Plus there'll be like I said, there'll be a nice large Jeffries tube going the entire length of the ship, maybe in 2 stages, maybe 3 stages, but as long as I can get them, I'm going to go for as long as I can get them. And that'll make it nice, because then all these things like this can be, you know, directly routed, and you can see them, follow them. Like with the Voyager, everything is connected, it's direct routed, but it took a god-awful amount of time to do it. I put in, I don't know, 40 hours routing lines, just going through there, setting up this stuff off and on, and then you factor in all the stuff that M. Heller did, and I mean, like I said, there's a good 40 hours between the two of us on this stuff alone, easily, on the Voyager, and you know, about half that on the Defiant, because the Defiant was a smaller ship, and Mad did a lot of that. So that kind of stuff, I only had to do a couple of hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours worth of this stuff on the Defiant. I'm sure M did the same thing, and then Mad, so I guess about 20-25 hours total on the Defiant for that kind of stuff. And the Defiant is a true team build. There were 5 of us working on the Defiant at one time, and you know, we busted that ship out in record time, and I had a hell of a time setting up the decks, a hell of a time. But once Panic got me over the hump, helping me figure out what I needed to do and how to get it done, Mad took over, and you know, the rest is history. We got a nice looking Defiant over there, best I think in Minecraft, and hopefully, I know the Voyager will be the best Voyager in Minecraft, and the Sovereign here, or the Enterprise E, will be the best E in Minecraft once it's done. So looking forward to it, and I do gotta say, you know, these big builds like this, they are a challenge, but they're fun to do, and this is why we play this game, because it's fun. Anyways, I do appreciate you taking the time to watch. Again, this is the Mindtrack.net game server. I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and or subscribe if you feel like it. It does help, and it does help Mindtrack.net. And thanks again for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.